You have it, Abu Saeed? Yeah, I think it's on. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Khairan, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost is thanks a lot for the invitation. Jazakallah khairan for inviting us and for hosting us. May you go back to your home or your job or your class or your course with both the spiritual benefit and the tangible benefit. The benefit of the soul and the actual information, which is good and wholesome. I ask Allah to give all of you both of that. Also, we welcome the viewers and the watchers online worldwide, wherever they may be, in Australia or Canada or the United Kingdom or Somalia or Ireland, wherever they come from, wherever they are right now in the different time zones. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them as well and allow them to learn as well. With that being said, addressing the misconceptions about Islam. No one in this room, or I don't think in this college, can differ on the fact, I think, my humble opinion, of how important a topic it is. Muslim or non-Muslim. Muslim or non-Muslim. And one of the reasons why I don't think people can differ that it's important to address these misconceptions is because whether you like it or not, Muslims make up a huge chunk of the world population. You guys here studying in the college, you know the statistics better than I do. You know the numbers better than I do. You're in the books more than I'm in the books. You know what they say about the world population. And you know what they say about Islam and Muslims. Regardless of the race or the ethnicity, regardless of the orientation or the strain of Islam, al-muhim, those who say that they're Muslim, they make up a huge chunk of the population in the world. Here in this college, in New York City, without Muslims, there lies no doubt a large part of this city wouldn't hum and buzz. It would not hum and it wouldn't buzz. Whether it's the train, the cab, whether it's the cook, whether it is the bus driver, the crossing guard, the police officer, the traffic, whatever the case may be. Muslims work in New York City. Muslims are an integral part of the United States. Muslims are an integral part of the busy cities today. So what do Muslims believe and what don't they believe? What do Muslims practice? What are the differences between the types of Muslims? I drive the train. I see Muslims get on the train. A sister's wearing all black from head to toe. I can't see anything on her body, nothing. What is her skin complexion? I can't see. Her eyes, her fingertips, everything's covered. And then another sister gets on my train and she just has a headscarf on, a head wrap. And she's wearing a nose ring and makeup. And the third sister gets on my train and she has on a loose. And the fourth sister gets on my train and she's wearing some type of gown or dress, but it's colorful and her ears are out. 4 different types of dress. 4 different types of Muslims, 4 different understandings, 4 different levels of the practice of Islam, as we say, Islam. I should have a basic understanding of how to deal with these people. If there's a customer who comes into my store, I work at a car dealership, and they wish to shake my hand or I wish to shake their hand. What is the ruling? What is the culture of Islam and of Muslims? My neighbor is a Muslim. If all Muslims are terrorists and they believe in violence and blowing things up, then I think I should know who's next to me because they could blow my house up at any time. So wouldn't it make sense for me to know who is my neighbor? As we say, friends close and enemies closer. Friends close and enemies closer. So whether you like Islam or not, whether you like the Muslims or not, that's fine. But there's certain things that you should know. And that's because there's a big possibility in New York City that you're going to bump into a Muslim on one level of Islam or not. One level or another. All right? Let alone the fact that those people, even non-Muslims who respect their minds and who respect their intelligence, those who refuse to be fed information, those who refuse to be spoon-fed news about other people and other human beings. A person may say, I have nothing to do with Islam. I'm not a Muslim, but my son's in the army. What is my son going overseas and fighting for? Why is my son coming back missing his legs? Why is my son coming back and he needs therapy and he has to go see a shrink and he can't sit still and he has nightmares and cold flashes? What did my son lose himself for in Iraq or Afghanistan? Why is my son fighting now? Who are we fighting? Are there weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East? Are the Muslims our enemies? Are we at war with Islam? I need to know this as a non-Muslim. Let alone the fact that I can be a better neighbor, I can be a better employee, and anyone who's an employer or an employee, but especially an employer, you know the importance of keeping your employees happy. It's not about religion or race, but it's about business. I have a business to run. My staff, they're Muslims, so I'm going to let them make salah on time. I need to know that there are 5 prayers a day. I need to know that men and women have certain rules with regards to shaking hands and segregation and so on and so forth. I need to know that there's something called Juma. I need to know that there's a time in which they cannot eat because I have a business to run. And the happier my Muslim employees are, the more money in my pocket. And the smoother my business runs. You want to make salat? No problem. Go ahead. You can pray 10 times a day. As long as the doors are open, as long as the food is being prepared, the customers are happy, I want you to be in tune with your religion. Because that makes you a better person, a happier person, and a better employee. And a better employee equals better business, and better business equals what? More money in my pocket. So even if who's wise, a non-Muslim who's smart, a non-Muslim who respects himself or herself, should know something about Islam and should try to do away with some of the misconceptions about Islam. And we didn't get into yet an intellectual, someone who wishes to study comparative religion. We didn't get into the issue of someone who maybe says, maybe Islam is the truth. Maybe it's the truth. Maybe I need to find out about it because they keep talking about it in the news. And every time I turn around, there's a terrorist attack, and there's a Muslim being accused, and there's a Muslim being tried. I go into the airport, the only people getting frisked are the Muslims. The people getting stopped and harassed are the Muslims. Why are they after these people so much if it's a fake, false religion that doesn't make any sense? There has to be some truth to it. There has to be something special. There's a reason why. So let me find out. Let me ask. Or those who see the Muslims say, man, that looks cool, that looks nice. A woman who covers her hair, a woman who respects herself and other people respect her. I want that. I don't want to be disrespected. I don't want to walk down the street and have men whistling at me and staring at me and lusting off of me and looking at me like I'm a pit to wear the hijab. Or maybe only Muslims can wear the hijab. Or maybe you have to be a scholar of Islam to wear the hijab. Some brothers who have beards, they look nice. They always smell good. They're dressed nice. They're manly. They have good manners. Why do they dress like that? Why do Muslims be the nights how that's the start of your spiritual journey on becoming a Muslim? Or perhaps that's the beginning of the Muslims and non-Muslims having better relations. And as I said before, not get into no dogmatic theology, no type of creed. The concept of the world would be a better place if the people knew each other more. If they knew each other more. These are Jews, these are Muslims, these are Buddhists, these are Christians. We all live in one country. There's one legislation. The legislation is not a Muslim legislation. It's not a Buddhist legislation. It's not a Jewish legislation. It's a secular legislation. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, respect all. So if you're going to be my neighbor and you are a Sikh, or you are a Buddhist, or you are a Jew, let's all get along and respect each other. Let no one violate the next person's religious beliefs and that which we hold sacred, as long as it doesn't go against the secular laws of the United States or of Canada or any other place in the world. And there lies no doubt, when you read the history, you'll find that there were many times and many places in which people of different faiths got along. And people of different faiths, they lived as neighbors. And people of different faiths, with their differences and with their lack of seeing eye to eye on basic concepts of God and spirituality, they had some respect for each other. And when I hear talking about interfaith or promoting interfaith or nothing like this, I'm trying to make a point. Is that if there's no one dominant doctrine, then everyone has to respect the next person. But how can you respect someone if you're ignorant of them and if you know nothing of them and you're unwilling to learn something about them? You're unwilling to learn this, period. It's a lie. And then there are other misconceptions about Islam which are based off of misconstrued information. 30% truth, 70% lie, 70% falsehood. Other misconceptions that are based off of actual verses or hadiths, actual text of Islam, but they're misunderstood and properly practiced. And there are certain misconceptions about Islam which it is the truth. This is what Muslims do believe, but not how you're trying to propagate it, and not in the way in which you're trying to push it and throw it down to people's throats. Or this practice is something for a specific time or a specific place, etc. And I would say the best proof for this is a daily life. Daily life. People, they will show you something on the television. You'll see something or you hear something on the news, on the newspaper. But how long have you been living next to these Muslims? How long has it been? It's been 20 years, 30 years. Have you ever been harmed by those Muslims? How many cabs have you gotten? And the guy's name said Abdullah, Mohammed. Did he kill you? Did he lock the doors and take you off the side of the bridge? He didn't. So if you use a bit of common sense and a bit of sincerity, and as I said, a very important key word is respect. Respect yourself and not allow yourself to be a sheep, not allow yourself to be led to the slaughter, not allow yourself to be fed information by someone who has an agenda and ulterior motive against anyone. The world will be a better place for Muslims and for non-Muslims alike. And when you read the annals of history, the books of history, you'll find all types of atrocities that were done in the name of God and in the name of religion, in the name of making the world a better place or a utopia, a perfect place. And most lunatics, or most madmen or mad women in the past and in history, whenever they did and committed those crimes and atrocities, 9 out of 10 of them will say that they were destined to do it by God, or do this, or poison these people, or make these people commit suicide. Most people, or I was angry. But they blame it on these points of ignorance and very, very long discussion. So when it comes to misconceptions about Islam, I feel that it's extremely important for us all to learn, Muslim and non-Muslim alike. I don't think it needs any explanation. You can't defend your religion. You can't protect your religion. How can you be to but you either going to lie on the law and his messenger, you either going to, but I heard it's a religion of terrorists, or Islam is a good religion, but Islam hates non-Muslims, or whatever the case, whatever they're saying about Islam. So you yourself, you can't be a proper Muslim and you cannot give proper dawah to Islam unless you have full certainty. Know how to deal with these missing here. خير إن شاء الله. A few ground principles that I want to mention that Muslims in Islam, and if you allow it to happen here, it's going to happen in other places as well. And who come from there is automatically stamped and stereotyped. That's fine. Burning the Quran is fine. Leads famous book of fables, and it's the famous story of the lion, the king of the jungle, as they say. A lion isn't actually the king of the jungle. Lion with his powerful jaw, I won't bother you. So the power, I'm hungry again. And he says, literally, no. Right for the lion too. That happens to these people in this country, but every day there are people dying in this country. We won't tolerate any hate speech. But here again, it's speech. That's not the definition of hate speech. Saying all Muslims are this, and they won't do this, and so on and so on and so wrong doing. To divide and conquer and split. If you talk about Islam and the Quran, and you will lose money, you will gain money, be afflicted. 60 years old, 60 years old. Then I wear hijab. But my whole life in which I was except that the end certainly the truth ala al-batil. Allah is telling us that we take the truth and we send it on a head-on collision course with falsehood. We throw it. What happens when the haqq encounters the batil? What happens when doubts about Islam, misconception, broken and crunched, a fender bender, a major accident? Someone may flip or turn or spin out of control. And that's because the thing that it collided with was of either equal strength or greater strength. Equal density or greater. We know basic rules of physics. Basic rules of what? Of physics. So therefore, when we talk about Islam and other than Islam, there is no misconception that can hurt Islam. And there's no misconception that can hurt a true Muslim, a true believer that's armed properly. And when there is a debate and a fight and an argument about Islam, terrorism, Islam, beating women, Islam, spreading by the sword, Islam being intolerant, and the list goes on. If Islam is represented properly, and if it's hurled and thrown and cast properly, the truth will be knocked out. And we all know what will happen if it's not, huh? Unfortunately. If it's not delivered properly. If it's not delivered with the correct velocity and strength. We all know what happens. So this verse, and there are many others in the Quran, it clearly affirms is that we have the answer to all doubts and misconceptions, and the truth can never dominate, the false dominate the truth, ever. It can never beat the truth. But who is representing the truth? Who's wielding the truth, huh? The sword is no good if it isn't an extension of the swordsman. A true swordsman will tell you that the sword, no matter whatever type of sword it is nothing more than an extension of my arm. How it's wielded and handled. How I wield it and how I handle it. So that's Islam. How do we represent Islam? When it comes to a Muslim Christian debate, a Muslim atheist debate, how do we speak? What do we say? If we know, and if we speak properly and confidently and strongly, it shall never ever outdo Islam. So that proves the previous point is that we must learn and we must know. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Let's move forward. There are many verses in the Quran Kareem that discuss the concept of Muslim and non-Muslim interaction. Muslim and non-Muslim interaction. And this is just another proof that Islam is the truth. Is that everything that's happening and everything that's taking place is mentioned in the Quran. It's mentioned in the Sunnah, directly or indirectly. Allah tells us, He has informed us, is that there will be contact between Muslim and non-Muslim. Sometimes that contact will be savage. Other times in which the contact between Muslim and non-Muslim is going to be verbal. And the Muslim is in contact with the non-Muslim in a specific way. A specific way. From those verses is what Allah says, way of your Lord. Speaking to the Muslims, call to the way of your Lord. Teach them about Allah's love, Allah's mercy. Show to them the beauties of Islam. And also teach them about the hellfire. And explain to them the wrath of Allah, the anger of Allah. What happens if you do not accept Islam? And you don't have a choice or an option to be a Muslim. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And debate with them, fight with them, argue with them in the best manner. In the best manner. A manner which is a manner based off of respect. A manner which is based off of confidence, strength, knowledge, not weak and feeble and apologetic. And this is one of the reasons why many people leave Islam or doubts become stronger and greater and more widespread is because many Muslims are apologetic and they're afraid and they're scared. The atrocities that have been made and committed in the name of the cross when the Crusaders entered Jerusalem and the other cities of the whole world, or the Holy Land. What did they do? How many children were spared? And the same applies to you will find that there have been acts of terrorism that have been committed by all races and religions in history. Where would you like? Would you like the Buddhists, the Hindus who made terror and killed people? Would you like to read about Palestine and the Zionist Jews that were killing British, blowing them up? Suicide bombing was founded there. How many non-Muslim Christian British people lost their lives at the hands of Zionist Jews? Read it. It's no secret. It's no conspiracy theory. This is facts. So are all Jews terrorists? Does your religion preach terrorism? Of course you're not going to accept that. You're not going to say that. So don't be hypocritical then. Don't be hypocritical then. If we go to homeless shelters, how many people in there are Christian? If we go to women that have been battered and beat up and abused, kicked and stomped by men, how many of them are Christians? How many? The majority or the minority? Of course you want to say the majority. So therefore, Christianity is a religion that supports the battering of women, beat women up, regardless whether it says it in the book or not. You wired her jaw, you knocked out her tooth, Brother Abdullah, when you beat your wife up, you threw down the steps. Give him my phone. Did you read the Quran before you did it? What do you think Brother Abdullah is going to say? Of course he didn't. Rather, Brother Abdullah doesn't pray. Brother Abdullah has a drug addiction. Brother Abdullah was caught cheating. Brother Abdullah has major, serious anger problems. Right? He didn't do that. That's false. That's a lie. And if you say that that's why there's domestic abuse in Muslim communities, then we're going to blame it and say the same applies to your religion. So you have to fight fire with fire. But that's not the foundation. That's not the default. You don't have to go to those tactics. You encourage the people to be a Muslim. Teach them about the truth of Islam. Show them the beauty of Islam. Billati hiya ahsan, in the best way, the best manner. Instead of us sitting and fighting and Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, let's agree on the things. So let's talk about the things that we agree upon. As the Quran says, let's come to mid-field. Who gets possession first? What do? They do what? Yes. So you don't always have to, and many Muslims, they make this mistake. They find fault in this book, misconceptions or in fault. Let's come and let's agree. You're a Christian? Okay, good. I'm a Muslim. We both believe in God. We both are monotheists, supposedly. We both believe in scriptures. We both believe in prophets and messengers. So let's count all the things that we agree on. And then let's see where we go wrong. Why do we go wrong? You say that God is one of three. Okay, fine, no problem. I say God is monotheism. No Muslims believed in Jesus. I never knew that you had the concept of that he's going to return. That's the default. What Jad did for Genesis, for example, see what we have in this basket here, huh? Hopefully it's not an Easter basket. Inshallah, if we can get everybody, please, inshallah. We can get everybody's attention, inshallah. The first question or doubt / doubt: why Muslim men don't wear hijab? What are the dress code of a Muslim man? There lies no doubt. This is a doubt and a misconception and a problem that many people have, and oftentimes, which will either cause them not to accept Islam or to find more fault and poke more holes in Islam. And I think that a question like this is only posed by one or two people. Someone that's trying to find fault, or someone that is actually interested in Islam. But it has to be fair, in my definition of what fair is. It's unfair for a woman to have to wear these long clothes and robes and, I'll say what? Garbs, and I can just wear whatever I want to wear. And I would say, half of this I agree with, or I agree with it 100% from one aspect, and you disagree with it from another aspect. As far as the concept that it's fair and unfair, who makes the rules? Me you, this one, that one. Who makes the rules? And for argument's sake, let's say the general rules, because there's always going to be specifics over which people differ. In Islam, there are specific things people they have the ability to think and come up with their own view. But who makes the principles? Who makes them? Who does that? Me, you, or God Almighty? We say that as Muslims, but if you don't establish that and lay that down first and foremost, it'll never ever end. And that's the concept of morality. This is immoral for a man to marry a younger woman. So why is it immoral? Whose morality are you using? People in China do this. People in Ghana do that. Who says the Chinese are better than those from Ghana? Whose definition of morality? That's not something that you can agree upon. Certain things we can agree on of morality. Murder. But the people cannot agree upon killing as being immoral. Murder is immoral. To kill someone unjustly, that's immoral. No one is going to differ on that. But death, execution, killing with a reason, whether you agree with the reason or not, is something that the people do not agree upon. And that's why we had the electric chair in this country. And people were hung. And people get the death penalty. And that's why other countries or other people in this country, they say there should never be a death penalty. Even if a person murders 1,000 people, he shouldn't be put to death. And more death is going to make more violence. People, they differ on these things. But no one is going to differ on me going outside and taking a sledgehammer and bashing a baby's skull into the concrete. No one is going to differ that that's wrong, that's messed up. But that's not the same as us having a career criminal who killed, raped, and murdered, and us saying he stands in front of a firing squad. Some people may say that's immoral, and others will say that is justice. Whose morality are we going to use? So we have to understand that what's fair and not fair in general, broadly, is decided and determined by God. If you do not believe in a God, or if you think that God lived and died and was tortured and punished and someone gave birth to God, then we're going to have major problems determining who says what. If you believe that the words of God have been translated into different languages and switched and changed, and there are different versions of the book of God, we're going to have what? A serious problem. Everyone understand this or not? Point number 2 is that no one can differ on the fact that men and women both have desires. And there's an attraction between men and women. And the opposite sex finds some type of attraction in different parts of the body of the opposite sex. That's reality. And the third point that I don't think people are going to differ on is that there are differences between a man and differences between a woman. In religion, in science, in biology, in anatomy, and in history. That men and women share many things, and men and women, they differ in many other things. No intellectual is going to differ on this reality. No intellectual person. Last but not least is, perhaps this doubt or this question comes from, as the sister said, about culture. And I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I'm just saying the truth and saying what we say. We were in California. We were driving home with one of our hosts, and their brother was from Yemen. And they start asking about the East Coast and how was Islam there. We hear it's a lot of Muslims and so on and so on and so on and so forth. And their brother, he was from Yemen. He was Yemeni. And he said, he was joking, talking about his own people, his own culture. He said, wherever you go, you'll find Yemeni women covered up. Wherever you go. You'll find a Yemeni woman wearing niqab, wearing gloves. The husband, the father, the brother doesn't grow a beard. His pants is falling off his behind. He's smoking weed. He has a girlfriend. He deals with pork, lottery, so on and so forth. He doesn't pray. But you're going to find his women folk covered up. And you'll find, this is the Yemeni brother, he said this, it's not my words. You find someone from Palestine, from Egypt, from this country, from this Middle Eastern country who's not religious, and 9 out of times, you'll find his women folk not being that religious as well, or their dress is far more laxed. He says, with us Yemenis, he says the scale is like this. We don't care. He says, even if we don't pray, he's not going to allow his wife to come outside unless she's covered from top to toe. So the point is, the sister isn't saying that's a fact. The point is that there's something wrong now. There's something wrong. The non-Muslim sees the sister. She's wearing all black. She's wearing gloves. She has on a screen. You can't see her eyes, the color of her nose. Nothing is seen. And the guy is walking down the street with skinny jeans and a tank top. There lies no doubt something's wrong. You have on tennis shorts and a basketball jersey and a baseball cap. And she is covered from top to toe. You can't see anything, no style, no fashion. Something is what? Something's wrong. There's no doubt about that. Something isn't right, all right? Something isn't right. But does that mean that a man has to cover his charms and his beauty like a woman? Not necessarily. And that's because a woman is not like a man. A woman's charm is not like that of a man. That doesn't mean that a man doesn't have attraction, but it are two different things. Two different things. So in general, Muslim men should dress modestly. Muslim men should identify themselves as Muslims. Whatever, whether it's a Saudi thobe or a dashiki or whatever cultural reference it is. As long as it's something that's known that the Muslims wear this and dress like this. You could be Nigerian, you could be Yemeni, you could be Indonesian. It don't have to be Khaliji or from the Gulf, but some representation of Islam. And hypothetically speaking, how is that fair? You can go, you want to talk to a girl, no problem. She doesn't know that you're a Muslim. You want to go gamble, you want to smoke, you want to do drugs. No one is going to know that you're a Muslim. But everywhere she goes, she's covered in niqab and gloves and a khimar. Hypothetically, that's what? It's messed up. It's a bit unfair. So this is a problem here, but the problem does not lie in Islam. But the problem lies in not applying Islam. The problem lies in culture, as you said, and men not obeying the rules of Quran and Sunnah 100%, and they only taking what they want to take. The Quran says, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa," and the Quran also tells us to "Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas." You're the best nation for the people. And from that is taking pride in what's the best. This is the Muslim dress, so why not let me wear it? Because it's the best. All right? And the Prophet was a very bashful man. The Prophet always had his head covered. He never went outside with his head uncovered, etc. So there are rules. And of course, there are levels of people. If your wife or your sister just has it, I'm not trying to offend anyone, I'm just saying facts. If she just has on a khimar and like a tunic top, and you have a shaven beard or some regular pants, that's one thing. But no doubt it's messed up to go somewhere and it's 90 degrees outside. Your wife is wearing gloves. She's sweating. The sweat is dripping down her back. And you're wearing tennis shorts and a basketball jersey. That's not right. And Allah knows best. Next one says, would you advise someone who is constantly in battle with his or her mother? What would you advise? Tight. Let's try to deal with the questions first that pertain to the topic. Should a mother stay on top of her son? Okay. What is your view on the war in Yemen? I do not mean to bring politics in, but it has a lot to do with religion as well. You think that's pertaining to the topic, Upside? Tight. You think so? Okay. Why are there so many wars in Islam? Everywhere we look, Muslims are fighting and Muslims are killing each other. Or somebody may say, well, if Islam is the truth, why are you guys always killing each other and fighting? Right now, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Pakistan, Kuwait, all of these countries are bombing and blowing these people to smithereens. And you all say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. You have the same language, you have the same qibla, the same book, the same shahada. Why are you guys always fighting? One could possibly say that. At the end of the day, I think the answer to the question lies in what I previously said with regards to Aesop's fables, the lion and the three bulls. If you allow the lion to conspire against one bull and you protect and offer security for the other two bulls, it may work for some time. You guys let us invade this country, let us blow these people up, whatever, regardless of the reason, and we'll leave you alone. No problem. Know for sure 5 years later, 10 years later, what's going to happen? They're going to be knocking on your border. You're this, you're that. We have to use our military to subjugate you. That's a problem. So the Muslim is always to take a stance against dhulm, always, on whatever level that you can. If you have the ability to physically stop it, you stop it. If it's beyond your reach, speak out against it. If you can't speak out against it, your voice isn't reaching, it's not loud enough, it's going to cause a bigger problem, at least hate it in your heart. But it's not okay for any Muslims to be fighting and killing each other, let alone doing it with the help and the support of non-Muslims. That's only weakening us, and it's not strengthening us. So our brothers and sisters in Yemen or any other part of the world, in which they're being wronged and oppressed regardless of the reason, because the people on the ground aren't fighting in this army or this war. Those orphans, those poor old people, they have nothing to do with the politics of Yemen. They're being bombed. They're starving. They're dying. That's not right. We should do something about it. We should try our best to change it the best way that we can. The last piece of advice that I'm going to give and I'm going to say is that we cannot be hypocritical, guys. We can't be hypocritical. People, they'll send money, they'll send relief for this country and for that country. But the same thing has been happening in other countries for 20 years. And no one said anything about it. There is no Islamic relief for this country and this island, or this part of Africa, or this unknown region. But the moment it happens here or there, there's money, send the money. That's not right. That's not right. So we have to, it has to hurt us no matter who is happening to. All right, Muslim or non-Muslim, let alone Muslim. So that's my opinion on the war in Yemen, is that the Muslims are one body. The Muslim's blood is sacred. His honor is sacred. His wealth is sacred. His land, his property is sacred. If the Muslims differ and they disagree, or whatever they're different and disagreeing on, theology, creed, Shi'i, Sunni, Rafidi, whatever it is, making innocent people suffer and die, I don't think that's the Islamic solution. And Allah surely knows best. Question says, if Islam is the religion of peace, then why are Muslims getting hated? If Islam is the religion of peace, why are Muslims being hated upon? It's a very simple answer. Many people don't like peace. Many people hate peace. And if there's someone who's tolerant and clement, someone who's cool-headed, and you're a hothead, and you're growling and spitting and cursing people, you're going to be embarrassed in front of that person. Why are you so angry, right? That's what they said. Why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? What's the matter? You need a hug? No one ever played with you when you were little? Why are you so upset and mad? You have to take the attention off of yourself by attacking the peaceful person. And this is something that people have done in history. Warmongers, those who said that this war is wrong, this invasion is wrong, they call them pacifists. They give them a fancy name or title. What's wrong with being a pacifist? Why do we have to fight and go to war? So oftentimes human beings they're nothing but mirrors. They're nothing but mirrors. You dress very nicely. MashaAllah. I dress bummy, scruffy. I'm not matching. I'm dirty. So to take the attention off of me and to hide my insecurities, I'm going to attack you. You think you're better than me? You think you're a pretty boy? You think you got money? You think this? You think? What's the problem? He wants to dress nice, and you don't want to dress nice. So that's how humans are, okay? People that want to be peaceful, they're going to be attacked by people who don't want to be what? Peaceful. Because when you stand the two together, it's a huge difference between the two. And no doubt, one looks ugly. One looks ugly. And Allah knows best. Next question says, I forgot, what is the dress code of a Muslim man? There is and there isn't a dress code. Okay, there is and there isn't a dress code. Muslim, his aura has to be covered, all right? But I said Muslim men they're not to wear tight clothes. You're not supposed to wear revealing clothes, all right? Women, they look and they lust just like men look and lust. Okay, women are jealous just like men are jealous. Women make zina just like men make zina. You have thoughts and it goes for both sexes. So a Muslim man should be modest. Does he have to wear a thobe and a kufi? I didn't say that. Does he have to cover his head like a woman? No. Does he have to cover his whole entire body with loose clothes like a woman? No, because there's a different anatomy. But if it was up to me, if a brother came to me and says, Mufti, how should I dress? What should I wear? I would say, dress like me. Put on a kufi, put on a thobe, grow your beard, trim your mustache, take your pants above your ankles. That's the best way to dress, inshallah ta'ala. You want to wear a different color? No problem. You don't have to wear blue. You want to wear a different vest? That's fine. And if you don't want to wear a thobe, that's fine. But don't wear skinny jeans. Don't wear leggings. Huh? We told him that shit. Some brothers, they wear leggings. Really, that's a problem. Don't wear no crazy stuff. Huh? And Allah knows best. Next question says, may Allah have mercy on you and your family. What is the best way to start the conversation with the Christian? As I just explained. Before the football game, they do the coin toss. The coin toss is done where? The 50-yard line. Come to common terms. If it's an atheist, that's a different story. But let's come to common terms as a Christian and Muslim. We both believe in God Almighty. What is that God Almighty? Was he born? Did he die? Was he on a cross? So on and so forth. What is the ruling on accepting Jesus and rejecting Muhammad? And there lies no doubt, for who has two eyes, Muhammad clearly spoke on Jesus in abundance in the Quran. Abundance. If you were in an army, or let's say you were on a nuclear submarine, and you receive instructions from the Pentagon to release nuclear warheads on a country, and you start arming your weapons, right? This is going to be World War III. Armageddon is coming, right? How many people are going to die when that Trident missile hits the ground? I will say, how many people in a matter of seconds? And it takes time, and there's a process for those nuclear weapons to be released. It takes time. 2 minutes are left before all weapons are armed and ready to be shot. And you get a new message. A new message that's been authenticated from the Pentagon. Stop. Stand down. Do not release these weapons against this country. We've peacefully, diplomatically negotiated. And the captain says, no. We're going to drop these bombs on them. We're going to blow them up right now. He released the missiles. Millions of people, thousands of people died immediately. They flew back, and he went back to the Pentagon. What will be waiting for him? An award, a medal, or a court-martial? Which one, guys? Without a question. Why? Did he not get instructions in the beginning? He did. But he refused to accept the what? The final instructions. So use common sense. Islam, there's no doubt, is a completion of what's there. And the proof for that is read the Quran. Mary, Jesus, John, Jacob, Isaac, Abraham are all mentioned in detail. Show me in your book, for argument's sake, where is Muhammad's name mentioned? For argument's sake. In my book, Jesus is mentioned. So it's common sense. Who should follow who now? Who has more additional knowledge, me or you? Who has the final instruction, me or you? Use common sense and come to common grounds. That's what I would do. And Allah knows best. Some people find it confusing when they read the Quran. What are the best books to give for dawah? Give them simplified books, easy books. Books that talk about the beauties of Islam. Books that talk about women in Islam. Books that talk about scientific miracles in Islam or the Quran. Books that talk about social justice. Books that talk about faith. Whatever it is that you're trying to call them to. But I do not agree that the Quran is a hard and difficult book to read. I do not agree that a non-Muslim cannot benefit from reading the translation of the meanings of the Quran. I don't agree with that. A Muslim who's been Muslim his entire life, he doesn't memorize the whole Quran. He doesn't know every verse in the Quran. He doesn't understand every part of tafsir. So why does a non-Muslim have to? I don't accept that. A non-Muslim can read in the Quran and read, and your Lord oppresses no one. And your Lord oppresses no one. Or you can read in the Quran, and on this day, the day of judgment, we shall place the scales of justice. The scales of justice. And no soul shall be wronged. Even if it's the weight of a mustard seed, a piece of grain, we will bring it. And we are sufficient reckoners. He reads that in the Quran. In my life, I was wronged. I was oppressed. This person stole money from me. This person did this to me. But it clearly says that God will not allow anything to go without reckoning and justice. Humans will do it. They'll forget. They'll show favoritism, but not God. I want to be a Muslim now. And he doesn't have to understand وَضْرِبُوهُنَّ and beat them. He may not even read that verse in the Quran. He may not even read a verse in the Quran which says fight in the cause of Allah. He may not even read that. So I don't agree that a person cannot benefit from the meanings of the Quran even in English. I don't agree with that. And Allah knows best. It depends on the person and how or what he or she is looking for. And Allah knows best. Is it okay to debate for long if you have proper information, not just arguing? Debating and arguing, sometimes they mean the same thing in English and sometimes they don't. Sometimes an argument could be we're raising our voices at each other, hollering. And debating can mean we sit down civilly, even if it's a little heated or passionate, and we go at it with proofs and evidences. And we're both trying to get to a conclusion, to a final determination. So there's a difference between the two. All right? Regardless of whatever word you use, if you're talking with a Muslim or non-Muslim, whatever it is, and they have some type of knowledge, you have some type of knowledge, so be it. May the best man win. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't step beyond your boundaries. Don't talk about things that you don't know about. And don't spend the majority of your time arguing and fighting or debating instead of reading and studying. Most people, if it was, let's open up a book, let's read this book, let's study this book, they'll get bored. They'll get tired. How many people were at the debate, Abu Saeed, at the auditorium? The debate was on, does God exist? It was nowhere to sit. How many people came to the masjid that night? There was a lot of people there, but it was what? No comparison. To learn, to hear something beneficial. But people, they like action, they like blood. They want to see a fight. They want to go to a wrestling match. Or they want to fight themselves. So if you have to debate with a coworker or a classmate or in a barbershop, it has to be at a minimum. And you're studying, you're reading, has to be at a what? A maximum. And Allah knows best. Is it okay to meet someone and say, I would like to invite you to Islam? Is this okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Rather, you shouldn't say that. Just invite them to Islam. Call them to Islam. And Allah knows best. The way us Muslim sisters dressed, most of the time we are told by non-Muslims that we are oppressed by our parents and family. How do we clear that misconception? It's America. We're not living in Yemen. We're not in Ghana or Gambia. It's America. I can take off my hijab. I can wear whatever I want to wear. My father, he can abuse me or whatever, but I can go to the police. I can get him locked up. I can get him arrested. I can run away from home. There is the ex-Muslims of Non-America Association I can go to. They have a support group. I can go on Facebook. I don't want to be a Muslim no more. Who's forcing me to be a Muslim? But I want to be a Muslim. But this problem is based off of the problem that we mentioned before about the dress code, is that there are many parents who do oppress their children and do oppress their women folk. And like I said, they don't pray. They don't grow their beards. They don't do whatever they're supposed to do, but a Muslim woman must be the most pious and righteous. That is hypocritical and that's wrong. That's wrong. You understand this? You have jealousy for your daughter, have jealousy for your face. Have jealousy for the razor blade. Have jealousy for the messenger of Allah who told you to grow your beard and do not shave your face. Do not imitate polytheists. Do not imitate the mushrikeen. Do not imitate fire worshippers. The Prophet said. So if the Prophet was alive today and he saw you with a green face, stubbled face, would you be pleased with sitting in the Prophet? Sitting in front of him like that? The Prophet's beard was so big. What did he do? What did the hadith say? When he recited the Quran and the Salah silently, they knew he was reciting because his beard would move. بِاتِّرَابِ لِحْيَتِهِ. Whoa, how big was the Prophet's beard? What did he do when he made wudu? What does the hadith say? That he grabbed his hair. هَكَذَا أَمَرَنِي رَبِّي, the narration says. And how many other hadiths talk about the Prophet having a full beard and you stood in front of him with a shaven face? Would you not be shy and ashamed? Would you be shy and ashamed, or would you feel proud? You shave your face and the Prophet's beard is full. Any Muslim man is going to say, of course I will be shy. I would want to be identical to the Prophet if he was sitting in front of me. And the same applies to Khadija and Aisha and Salama. If they were alive today, you want your daughter and your wife to sit in front of them dressed like they're dressed. And they were not mutabarrijat. They didn't have tabarruj. They cover up. Okay, so the people, they have to stop being hypocritical. They have to implement Islam themselves. They have to practice Islam themselves. They have to try to be pious and good examples themselves. Everyone understand this? But the doubt makes no sense. No one in New York City is wearing the niqab because they have to. If he threatened you with violence, you would easily run away from home. But unfortunately, some parents do threaten their children and impose certain things on them, which may not even be Islamic. But it's still the United States, so you're not even making any sense. We're not in Afghanistan. No one's going to come and beat me with a stick in the middle of the street. What are you talking about? And a very important point here is that many doubts about Islam that non-Muslims mention, most of them, or a good number of them, are totally theoretical. They don't even exist. And you have to see through the fog. This, what you're saying, doesn't even happen. And if it does happen, it's a tiny statistic. So what are you talking about? Everyone understand this? So you can't fall for the nonsense. Allahu Alam. Question says, 5 minutes left. Let's try to summarize the answers as much as we can. Subject, borrowing of money. What is your viewpoint on borrowing of money? I understand that's related questions that don't pertain to the topic. How do you respond to people who say Islam plagiarism of the Old New Testament? It's total stupidity. Yes, it would be plagiarism if the Quran never gave any reference to the previous scriptures. The Quran talks about Mary and John and Adam, no problem. Muhammad plagiarized the old scriptures. No question. But have you not read in the Quran, مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ, affirming, confirming, reestablishing what came before it? Did you not read that? What do you think that means? The Quran is affirming that it did what? It's mentioning information from previous scriptures. In the world of academia, if I quote Robert Smith said in his debate on global warming, volume 3, page such and such, is that called plagiarizing? I've given citation. I've referenced it. Plagiarizing is for me to say, in 10 years, all the ice caps will melt because of my research. And it's really from Robert Smith in his essay. That's called what? Plagiarizing. So why is the stupidity? And the Quran clearly says, وَمُبَشِّرًا بِرَسُولٍ يَأْتِي مِنْ بَعْدِ اسْمُهُ أَحْمَدٍ. Isa said, I will give glad tidings of a messenger who will come after me, whose name is Ahmed. It's showing you the timeline. It's clearly showing you that Muhammad brought what they brought, and he completed it, and he finished it. The Quran clearly affirms that. So why the stupidity? Why the hypocrisy? If the Quran gave no reference to other books, then it was plagiarism. No problem. We'll agree with that. But the Quran is clearly affirming that it's not against those other previous ways. Musa was a Muslim. Isa was a Muslim. Jacob, John, they were all Muslims. The Quran affirms that. And if you read the hadith, then you would have an even clearer picture. The Prophet ﷺ tells us about that palace. And that one stone is missing. And I am that stone to complete that wonderful palace. So Islam is not against the previous scriptures. Last but not least, the last thing that I would say if I was in an argument, which would totally break many things in the Quran that talk of biblical times, past prophets and messengers that are not mentioned in the scriptures, such as Cain and Abel and the burying of the body via the actions of the crow. That's not in the New or the Old Testament. That's not in the New or the Old Testament. Read the story of the crow in Surah 5. There's no mention in the previous scriptures, but it's clearly talking about something that was biblical. So there's information in the Quran that talks about the previous people that is no way you can say plagiarize. And there are other examples as well. Okay? Don't forget what I said, that the truth knocks the brains out of the what? Out of the falsehood when they collide. But you can't do that unless you have the proper knowledge and the proper training. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. I'm sorry that I didn't have time to answer all of your questions.